Hi everyone, my name is Allison Dabalski and I did my project on the Relaciones Geograficas. The Relaciones Geograficas, or geographic accounts, is a collection of maps that and surveys that are commissioned by King Philip II of Spain. He wanted to understand the different regions of New Spain better. To get why King Philip II needed this information, we need to start at the beginning. The Aztecs used to rule over three big neighboring city-states. They were powerful and expanded their territory through strong alliances, but their dominance didn't last forever. With each victory, they took captives to Tenochtitlan for human sacrifices, which was part of their religious beliefs. This practice angered many tribes and made the Aztec Empire weaker and more fragile over time. Hernan Cortes saw the weaknesses in the Aztec Empire and the rich resources that they had. So in 1519, he decided to launch a campaign against them. He managed to get several native tribes to join him in defeating the Aztecs. On August 13th, Cortes overthrew the Aztec Emperor Montezuma II and overtook the city. Within 3 years, Cortes and his conquistadors conquered all of Mesoamerica, bringing it under Spanish rule. After subduing the Inca Empire, they established the Kingdom of New Spain. They divided the territories into regions called viceroyalties, governed by viceroys, who represented the king. In 1577, King Philip II sent out a survey with 50 questions about various aspects of the lives of each region to govern it more effectively. The survey asked for hand-drawn maps that participants were supposed to fill out and return. Colonial officials or indigenous notaries mainly filled out these surveys, most of which were submitted between 1579 and 1585. These responses were handwritten and often included maps or illustrations called pinturas. Anyone could submit a map which showed the biases of different social classes and highlighted regional issues. Out of the 191 responses, we know the whereabouts of about 167, and 26 of these have one or more maps. Today, these documents are kept in 4 places: the General Archives of the Indies in Seville, the Real Academia de la Historia in Madrid, the Benson Library at the University of Texas at Austin, and the University of Glasgow Library. These maps tell us about the lives of both Spanish colonizers and indigenous people, and their responses to colonization. The Relaciones Geograficas has been crucial in representing indigenous communities. There has significant conflict between European powers and indigenous societies during this period. The Mesoamerican region was shaped by indigenous cultures that were very different from European traditions. Europeans brought diseases like smallpox, destroyed sacred buildings, and took over many indigenous ideas, especially in agriculture and crop cultivation. Here are some detailed examinations of specific pinturas. For example, the pintura of Zempoala is full of indigenous iconography. It shows a large mountain with a head on top, symbolizing the founding of Teutonic associated with the indigenous group native to Zempoala. The local Nahua ruler is shown wearing ornate headgear and a cloak, while the Atami natives are dressed in hides. A Spanish official is seen sitting in a folding chair. The Zempoala map doesn't have a clear orientation, suggesting that the painter moved around to capture all the important elements. Historians think that the artist used multiple sheets of paper to create one large map. Icons mark significant locations like chapels, mountains, and main roads. The presence of churches with crosses show where missionaries evangelized local population. Here is the Pintura de Cholula, which has a very organized layout that combines Mesoamerican elements and European architectural details. It uses a grid pattern inspired by Roman influence to denote order within the city, even if the city wasn't originally built this way. The map also shows numerous rectangles with structures inside of them and mountains in the background. Even though there are no mountains in those areas, this choice represents the idea that people lived in those neighborhoods. The block at the top right, featuring a trumpet, symbolizes Tolan Cholula, a thriving Mesoamerican city before the colonial era. Here is the Pintura of Teozequalco, created in 1580. This shows the relationship between the Mixtec community of San Pedro and European settlers. It was made of 23 sheets of European paper pasted together to form a larger illustration. It features indigenous art styles, but also shows European influences like Christian churches and horseshoes, which indicates coexistence between Europeans and indigenous people in this area. These maps are just a few examples from the Relaciones Geograficas. The indigenous people built a vast empire with many inhabitants and beautiful buildings, many of which were destroyed and converted into churches. They were forced to adapt to European customs, convert to Christianity, and were exposed to European diseases, ultimately losing power over their empire. The Relaciones Geograficas provided valuable insights into the lives of indigenous people before and during colonization.